What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we had very good news, and it's one of those situations that we had good news, it's just bad timing, and I think that's a little bit more of a common trend with Lucid, unfortunately. But I want to explain what the news is, what it means for current investors. Outside of that, I just want to break down what exactly is influencing the price right now with Lucid. So I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So live ticker is going at the very bottom of the screen, currently down 3.2%, 35.4 million for volume. So definitely a very heavy volume day. So that's always a very good sign. 19 million for the average, and 4.1 million shares being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. So again, let me know your thoughts on that. There was actually two pieces of news that did come down the pipeline today, one of which is in relation to the battery technology. And I think this was a very highly anticipated news that was going to come out eventually. I've been doing surprisingly a lot of videos on Lucid, and as of late, I believe this came out 1 month ago, saying that there was going to be a new agreement coming down the pipeline, because their existing agreement with LG does come to an end or finalizes, I believe, at the beginning of 2023. So it was anticipated that there was going to be something coming down the pipeline, but back in March 17th, Peter did have an interview, and he did say he wanted to do everything in-house. And every earnings he does boast about having everything in-house to reduce costs and so forth. He did surprisingly say that he wanted to start in-house cell production. Clearly didn't really get to that stage in the game, but regardless, Panasonic is stepping in, and hopefully that should be able to reduce a little bit more costs. Let me know your thoughts on that. I think this is definitely a very positive thing, and goes to show that they have a little bit more of a stronger future. Outside of that though, there was this news that did come out. By 2023, Lucid is expecting to actually do a electric, so an EV pickup. Very surprising, out of the blue. I never thought that Lucid would ever go down the pickup route and compete with Rivian, but turns out they want to. Outside of that, they wanted to do a sports car, and I think Peter's already said in previous earnings that they do want to do a sports car, so I think that was a little bit more expected. Just unfortunately, Lucid hasn't ever really announced that per se, but I'm very, very surprised about the pickup. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I like this article. It's very vague in a lot of things, but once again, it's coming from a third party, not necessarily from Lucid. I would absolutely love for Lucid to come out with a piece of news, and it just sucks that we always have to rely on third party sources. But again, this is how the game is. When it comes to it though, looking at the intraday chart, we had a very strong spike up, and that was largely because of the CPI data. So as I always do, I like to give you a good summary of what is moving Lucid both up and down. And as you can tell on the year over year, it is below the forecast. So came in at 7.1, forecast was 7.3. Month over month, it surprisingly was up 0.1%. Forecast was 0.3. So once again, on paper, that is fairly good. But you know me, I like to look at what the true data is saying. It's one thing just looking at these numbers and saying, yeah, that's good, which unfortunately does happen a little bit too much. People look at this, it causes it to go up, and then people finally do what obviously myself does all the time, is just look at the data, and this is what caused it to go down, in addition to a couple other things. But as you can see right here, this is the true breakdown of everything. And as I've said in previous videos, CPI is a little bit more flawed because it does have a very big energy component to it. So as you can see, based on November, energy did go down 1.6%. So insinuating the other basket items, which of course the market actually cares about, did go up roughly about 1.4%. So again, behind the scenes on paper, CPI did very much go down below the forecast, but looking at the data, other basket items did go up. So once again, this is where it's a little bit more flawed behind the scenes. So people started to realize that. In addition to that, people took this for face value and said now the Feds have a little bit more ammunition to raise the rates, which is coming tomorrow. So definitely a back-to-back kind of event going on, but this is what's caused us to go down and actually even get into the $7 range. So first and foremost, give yourself a shout out in the comments below if you did take advantage and buy into the $7 range. I believe it hit a low today of $7.94. So once again, it does suck. It plainly sucks, the fact that every single day we seem to be having a new 52-week low, and it's really hard to kind of stay motivated. And I'm obviously saying it from a typical investor. Myself, I think long term, and I obviously don't really necessarily care if it goes down to 5 or whatever it might be. I believe in Lucid in the long term. But regardless, it does suck the fact that looking at the 1 year chart, it's just gone down completely down and very little hope. So sentiment is a very big attribute of what is motivating investors behind the scenes. And unfortunately, I think people can only continue to buy the dip so much. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But I'm going to do a little bit more technical analysis and break it down what the actual indicators and everything is saying. But surprisingly enough, there is one thing some people do like the Elliott wave, and this projection does show, and so far is very valid, that we might be hitting a average or kind of a range between $5.51 to $6.17. So absolutely very surprising on that front. If you do like a lot of technical analysis or even just analyst ratings or forecasts or whatever it might be, definitely take a look at Interactive Brokers. I'll put the link in the description below and also the comments as well. So it's very easy to break down what is expected on upcoming earnings and so forth. So let me know your thoughts on all of that. But like I said, I like the old school way of just looking at the indicators and so forth. So on the actual chart, I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So momentum, you can tell number of retail investors are down slightly today. Clearly, the sentiment is very much negative, and it has been negative for a while because without any kind of relief rallies or anything, people are just getting very much accustomed to just red days every single day. And stochastic is very, very oversold. So currently at 12. Hypothetically, anything below 20 or lower is a very good buying opportunity, similar to RSI. RSI is anything below 30 is a very good buying opportunity. And I do anticipate the latest round of 13Fs, there's going to be a lot of institutions that took advantage of these discounted prices, because the reason why I have RSI and stochastic on there is a lot of algorithms from institutions and so forth have those two indicators. And if RSI is below 30, stochastic below 20, that goes to show that a lot of big money is going to be buying. And most likely this is exactly why we do have a little bit higher volume today. So let me know your thoughts on that. On the actual chart, we are in no man's land, like I said. So lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, and we are in unknown territory. So when doing technical analysis, unfortunately, there is no known support levels at this stage in the game. So even going back to here, when they are projecting roughly about $5.50, that's a little bit more of the psychological areas and psychological zones, because as of right now, since we did break below the $7 range, we should be trading just between the dollar ranges. So between now probably $7 to $8 most likely will be our next range bound. So let me know your thoughts on that. I know this isn't things that you want to hear about, but when you are investing in Lucid, you should be investing in the long term and kind of focusing on this kind of news, such as agreements, long-standing agreements as well. So let me know your thoughts on this. As far as I'm aware, this Panasonic agreement is good for 3 years, similar to what happened with the LG one. So definitely a very positive thing. Goes to show that Lucid could potentially develop their in-house cell production that I did quote multiple times. But again, they might be able to do that, cut additional costs as well, and make the bottom line better a little bit more for Lucid. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.